Hi everyone, it's Alex from Risk Academy, and in this video I wanted to talk about this ever-present challenge or ever-present dilemma that risk professionals have. Where should they focus their effort most of the time? Should it be the body of the distribution or the tail of the distribution? And if those two words don't mean anything to you, that's fine. Just look up a video on what is risk on the Risk Academy YouTube channel so you can learn what is the body of the distribution, what is the tail, and why they both matter, and how we use each one of them. So this video is for people who already know what's the difference between the body and the tail. And at the moment, I wouldn't be surprised if my view on this topic would change, and in fact you have an opportunity to change my view by challenging it in the comments below. I'm not 100% set on this. I have a hypothesis. I'm not 100% set. I started testing the hypothesis, and I think I have enough evidence to suggest that my hypothesis is proven. But challenge me by all means. So what I'm thinking right now, and this may change, is that, well, first, unavoidable facts. The mathematics for the body and the tail is very different. Different distributions, specifically because you have different availability of data points. You usually have very few data points for the tails, especially if they're very fat tails, and it's quite difficult to apply the same modeling techniques to the tail of the distribution. And so my hypothesis right now is that risk managers most of the time should focus their effort on the body of the distribution. That's where they can set limits, that's where they can set stop losses, that's where they have expected losses, that's where they have unexpected losses. Expected losses go into budgeting, unexpected losses go into capital adequacy requirements and liquidity management. And that's where they spend most of the time, and in fact their methodologies are kind of designed for the body. And in fact most of the risk management methodologies are not designed for the tail, and in fact get the tail incorrectly. And I suspect that this is actually by design. It was never meant to capture the tails. Again, prove me wrong, challenge and debate with me on this topic. So, does that mean the tails are not important? Well, obviously, of course not. I mean, that would be just silly. Tails are absolutely critical. First of all, because if there's a fat tail, your expected losses, your average is gonna shift quite, and it could shift quite significantly. I mean, I had one environmental risk exposure where VAR was lower than the average. Not the P50, obviously, because P95 is bigger than the P50, but it was the P95 was lower than the average because the tail was just humongous. It's probably because we overestimated the catastrophic scenario, the probability of catastrophic scenarios, but nevertheless, it is technically possible. And so, of course, tails are important. In fact, tails are absolutely critical. I believe risk management job ends with understanding the tail exists, using general Pareto distribution to add the tail to the distribution so your average shifts appropriately, or at least tries to shift appropriately, and then making sure this information is, first of all, transparent to the decision makers, but second, it is given to the responsible party, because managing the tail is, in my mind, is not really a risk manager's job, because it's either insurance, hedging, what else is business continuity, disaster recovery plans. What else is on the tail? Write in the comments what else, what other mitigation techniques exist for the tail. And of course, accepting the tail, and that's why the tails need to be very transparent to the decision makers, to the owners of the company. So my current hypothesis is that the risk managers should focus their methodologies and their approach primarily on the body of the distribution, as long as somebody in the organization is taking care of the tail. And usually there are other departments who have better competencies to deal with the tail risk. Again, and as long as the decision makers or the owners understand the tail exists and how big it can be. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Subscribe, like, and I'll see you in the next video.